everyone. I wanted to make this video for those who are still struggling with Sourcetree. So I'm going to walk through the process that we went through when getting Sourcetree ready. So first I'm going to make a new repository. Just name this INF2 for the second. It can't be the same name as anything else. So I'll just do the same as my last one, but I'll add a 2 after it. And you just want to make sure to make this private. And we're on our GitHubs right now, so just make sure that you have a GitHub downloaded. Do not add a git ignore. We're going to add this separately. But just make sure that that new repository you're creating is private. Make sure the name is available for the class, just INF-471- your last name. You don't need the 2, it's just because I already have one. And then you're going to create that repository. And we've got our repository created. So let's go over to Sourcetree. I'm going to go to this little add button. And first of all, I'm going to go to remote. If GitHub is not here, if you only have Bitbucket so far, you go to add account, hosting service, switch it to GitHub. For the OAuth, you're going to just go down here and click refresh OAuth token. As long as you have your GitHub open, it will open your GitHub. A little screen will pop up saying, yeah, everything looks all good. It'll have your username right here, and then you just click OK, and that'll add your GitHub. In fact, I'll just go here right now and just go to, its authentication's already okay, but if I refresh the OAuth token, you'll see it goes to this screen, and then you just go back to Sourcetree and click OK. But then you want to make sure that you go and click on your GitHub, because that's where we're cloning our repository from. And as you notice, I've got the repository I just made from GitHub, the INF-471 Lavalley 2. So I am going to clone this. It's going to check source type. It should say this is a Git repository. And that means that you can download that. I'm gonna customize where I put this. So I'm gonna put this in my M drive. I'm gonna put it in my peer education folder. And I'm just going to make a new folder, INF-471 Valley 2. And that's the folder I'm going to select for it to go in. And so we've got all of this set up. If yours doesn't look like this, you might receive a pop-up. If you receive a pop-up, it'll have a bunch of different options. I believe whatever it starts on, if it has I think it starts on a manager option, keep it on that option and click always allow. And then it should always let you go back to this. Clicking any of the other options, I believe, does not work, but if you click the one that it's already on and just click always allow, it'll lead you to this, and you should be able to clone your repository. So we're just going to clone that. Boom, so I've got my repository cloned. No issues with that. What we're going to do next is very important. Before you add anything else to this folder, you are going to want to add your git ignore. So that's what we're going to do. But so I'm going to go to my downloads and get this git ignore. I am going to copy that and then go back to the folder that I have my stuff in. I am going to paste that, and then before I do anything else, before I commit this, I'm going to rename it. We need a period at the beginning of this file name, because that turns it into a text file. If you are using a Mac, you are going to need a space before that period. But as you can see, it just made it into a text document. If I go over here to Sourcetree, I now have an unstaged.getIgnore. What I am going to do is I am going to click Stage All, or I can just stage that one file if I'd like. But when you are working with like a project and you have a lot of files to stage, if you want them all staged at the same time, then it is highly recommendable to just click that Stage All button. But so then I'm going to go down here. You want to add a description that lets you know what you did. You want to make sure that you know what happened in this edit. That way, if you need to pull a previous version of your project, you can do so. But so I went git ignore added, click this push changes immediately to, and then commit. And then we've added our git ignore. If we go over here, refresh the repository, you will see the .git ignore is added. Now, after this is added, we can add other things to the repository. If you're just starting a Unity project, if it's like your first time doing the Unity project, you can just save it to this folder. So for the purposes of this, this is the Unity project that I have that I've been working on for the class. So I'm going to copy that. I'm just going to paste it in here. If I had a new Unity project that I hadn't worked on yet, I hadn't made yet, I could just make the Unity project into this folder. If you have an existing Unity project that you want to put into this, then you can just copy and paste it from there. But then anytime after that, if you want to access that specific thing and you want it to go to your Unity, you want the changes to go to the repository, then you're going to need to open that from here. So you're going to have to open, say, this. So I would have to go open, and instead of where I previously had it saved, I would have to open it from here in order for the changes to go to this one and not the other one. So that's if you're moving a Unity project from another folder, you're going to have to reopen it in Unity Hub in the new location that it's saved in order to make changes. But then say I'm working on this project, I just did everything that I want to do with it. So what I am going to do here is I'm going to go to Sourcetree. I'm going to have a bunch of things to stage now. I'm just going to stage all. And then I'm going to commit those changes. And since I just uploaded the project that I've already been working on, I can say uploaded demo project. You always want to make sure you describe in some way. You'd never want to leave your commit message blank, because then you won't know what changes you made. And if your project for some reason stops working after you made some changes, you want to be able to go back to a previous point in the project where things were working. So you want to make sure that those are descriptive. And then I'm going to commit this. Since there's a few more files, usually I think it would take longer, but it was actually pretty fast. So then we're going to go to GitHub, refresh, and you'll see my project is in there. And after you've done all this, this is all on your GitHub. So you're going to go through the process of setting Sourcetree up on a different computer, but when you set Sourcetree up on a different computer and clone the repository, instead of adding things and pushing them to that repository, or you don't need to do this after you clone the repository, but anytime you work on a new computer, so anytime that say you're switching from the lab computers to your home computer, and you need the project that you worked on in the lab. So you're going to have to pull those changes. Origin, main, commit merge changes immediately, and you just pull that. And it's as simple as that. Right now there's like no changes, so I don't even know if it'll let me pull. But it still let me pull. But anytime you're working on the project from a new location, from a new computer, always pull your changes before you work on that project, or else it could mess with your entire project. And then anytime you do work on your project from that computer, after you finish the changes that you've made, you commit and push those changes. Well, first you stage them, then commit and push those changes, and then they're ready for you to pull on a separate computer. And that's really all there is about Sourcetree. If you're ever confused on where your Sourcetree file was saved to, you can always hit Explorer and it'll just show you the folder it's in. If you're ever confused on where it is, where you need to be saving things to. Another important thing is if I build this game, I'm going to do it in a new folder, name it Builds, and I am going to build it in this folder, but after I build it, you're going to zip that file. You're going to zip that file before you push it anywhere. And that is the last part about Sourcetree. But that is all of the main points of Sourcetree. You always want to make sure that you have your GitHub account connected, that's where you clone your repository from. You want to make sure you've only got the one repository. Even on multiple computers, you only have one repository that you just exchange data through. So it's like you're constantly pushing new data and pulling that new data from a different computer. And that is all there is to it. If you have any questions, let me know.